It's just not my Earth access day. Holy cow. I wonder what I could send in there to get all of this. We're gonna start here. That big, beautiful ball of energy called the sun, well, it's our key to life, but it's not driving global warming. Many of you will write me and you'll claim that the sun is responsible for global warming. Like this person who says the daily record highs are still deceiving because solar cycles last longer than that. Daily record high temperatures, though, they're just that. It's a record high in a century or a century and a half of data. However, if you want to play the solar cycle game, I am down, because the cycle of our Earth and its orbit has huge impacts on our climate. But the rapid warming we've seen in the last couple of decades, well, it's too fast to be linked to Earth's orbit, and it's too large to be linked to the sun's activity. Let's go ahead and pretend this globe is the Earth, because it is one, and this orange is the sun. Did you know that the sun has a North Pole and a South Pole? Well, because it's got this magnetosphere, those poles actually flip every 11 years. And that's why we get solar maximums, where we have more of these sunspots, we can tell, and solar minimums. Different amounts of energy. We happen to be at a solar maximum right now. The sun peaked in activity in October 2024, and that's why we've seen these beautiful displays of northern lights. Now, these maximum and minimums have a small impact on global temperature, but I want you to look at this chart. We can clearly see on here all the 11-year cycles where you go max min, max min, max min. That's the thin yellow line, but the darker, thick yellow line shows the overall brightness or irradiance from the sun is actually going down. Meanwhile, that thick red one, and the thin one too, that's the global temperature. Just keeps going up. The sun's overall brightness since 1850s has only contributed 0.01 degrees Celsius to our entire global warming. That's less than 1/100th of what we've had, so it's not the orange's fault. But what about Earth's axis and just Earth in general? So let's pretend this chopstick is the axis. The Earth makes different circles around the sun. Sometimes it's perfectly circular, other times it's a little bit more elliptical. Then you've got the tilt. Sometimes it's more like that, sometimes it's more like that. And finally, this axis is like a wobbling top. All three of these changes, with the Earth's tilt and all that stuff, it's been related to massive shifts in our Earth's climate. So let's start with the orbit thing. So it can be circular, but it also, over 100,000 years, can be a bit more oblong. The circular one, that's colder, because both of these are responsible and can be related to the 5 major ice ages. The more oblong one, warmer. It's really hard to write like this. Either way, the circular one is where we are now. That's right, we're supposed to be colder. We are in an ice age. Wait a minute, we're in an ice age? Aren't I the one that is always showing you that the glaciers are melting? That's me in Switzerland. But seriously, we are actually in an ice age, just the warmer part of the ice age. It's called the interglacial period. Basically, on that 800,000 years we're looking at, there are 5 ice ages, but it's not all up and all the way down. There are little blips up and down. All of those little blips are thanks to Earth's axis and its wobble, because every 26,000 years, that axis does a full circle. Well, let's pretend that this is the circle that the axis drew. Now, 11,000 years ago, this was Ice Age. So, we are on the other side, and we're actually headed back toward the next Ice Age. So get this, if there were no human influence on Earth, but the cycles were all happening like they were supposed to be, scientists say we should be cooling, continuing a trend that started 6,000 years ago. One more point to make, and I couldn't find a dinosaur. So, big question is, how do we know all this? It's not like the dinosaurs were hanging out and had thermometers when we found their fossils. No, it's all paleoclimatology. The ice cores and the ocean sediment cores that these guys were around have a lot of info in them. In fact, all that old stuff, the ice cores, the data, it tells us that we are warming 10 times faster than the average warming after an ice age. So what's speeding all that up? Well, it's the package at your front door. It's the sweatshirt that I'm wearing. It's the concrete that this house was built on. Every single thing that humans have touched have created emissions. Those emissions have trapped heat in mostly the lowest layer of the atmosphere. And that heat is here to stay, and it's warming us. And actually, the CO2 emissions are 250 times any of the natural sources that have peaked in the past. It's us and all of the things that we have made in the last century or so. It's definitely not the sun.